Welcome to Overwatch. What's next?
What's up, everyone? Long time no see. So I'm Jeff.
And I'm Aaron.
So Aaron's very humble. So how many WoW fans are here today?
Oh my God.
Okay. I'm not making this up. You can watch this on YouTube. Aaron is the gentleman who made Stormwind, Orgrimmar, Thunderbluff, Ironforge, Darnassus for World of Warcraft. And for those of you who are Overwatch fans, what is the best map in Overwatch?
God.
Aaron made King's Row. Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
for all of that.
And
That's not embarrassing at all.
No, not embarrassing at all. And he prefers to be called Aaron. And everyone's been pronouncing it wrong all these years. Aaron,
Ask my mom. Yeah. Okay.
so Overwatch 2, we're talking about it in detail now.
I'm so excited to talk to all of you about Overwatch 2. We said it in opening ceremonies. It's so hard not to be able to talk about it with friends and family and actually use the name Overwatch 2. But here we go.
There it is.
You want to start with push?
You start. You kick it off.
Okay, so we've built a lot of game modes for Overwatch over the years. Things like Junkensteins or Capture the Flag or Lucio Ball. But those have always been featured in the arcade. Push is the first game mode that we've released since launch that is what we call a core game mode. And a core game mode is something that you will be able to play in quick play. It's something that you'll play in competitive. And it's also something that the Overwatch League is going to play. Let's take a look at a video that kind of goes into it in a little more detail.
Cool. Yeah, let's check it out.
Okay, so the push map that we're showing today takes place in Toronto, Canada. Yes. The objective of push is for both teams to escort a robot into enemy territory. The team that pushes it the furthest before time expires wins the match. That's the robot.
Who is ready to push? I am!
As you stand near the robot, it will start moving towards the enemy's base.
Until May gets conked.
Yeah, exactly. As the robot moves, it pushes a barricade marker further into enemy territory. The further the marker goes, the higher your team's score gets. As it hits a checkpoint, your team will unlock a forward spawn
This looks
point.
like a nice spot.
He's a little itchy.
Yeah, I love this guy. As he's pushing the barricade marker, the robot moves slower.
Okay, other
But
direction.
when he's not pushing the marker, he moves a lot faster. This allows teams to make up lost ground really quickly in the mode. Okay, so
Moving the barricade.
May needs to escort the robot further into enemy territory than Brigitte's team did. And if she can escort it all the way till the end of the map, it'll result in an instant victory for her and her team. Like this.
Victory.
Yeah, I would say so far internally, we don't have a lot of the maps go all the way to the end, which is a good thing. Most of the maps are like more back and forth.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the design values that we had for push is it's more interesting to have that robot move back and forth across the map. And if you look at the map, you can see that it's mirrored. The geometry is mirrored from one side to the other. It's a symmetrical map. And the game mode itself is a symmetrical game mode. What that means is each team has the same objective that they need to accomplish in order to win the match. This is similar to something like Control. Control, both teams are vying for one control point in the middle of the map. What I think is really cool about Push, though, is as the robot moves back and forth across the map, the team fights that are everything in these symmetrical modes happen all across the map, in contrast to Control, where a lot of them happen at the control point in the middle of the map. if you look at this next shot, you can see that the path that winds its way through Toronto in this map is really windy. That red line illustrates the path that the robot takes through Toronto. What this means is that there's a lot of different shortcuts and connections in order to connect different parts of the path. This makes the game mode really flanky. And heroes that you might not see in some of our other game modes, or you might not see as prominently, such as Reaper and Tracer, are really, really powerful in this game mode. Internally in our testing, we typically use different comps in Push than we do in all the other game modes. And I can't wait for you guys to play it. You can play it on the show floor today and see what sort of team compositions you guys create.
Cool. Let's take a look at Toronto a little bit. Why don't we talk about some of our values from a world building standpoint?
Yeah, so when we build maps, we always like to take players on a journey all across the world. And we like to visit unique and exciting and exotic locations. And when we build them, we try to make them fit the ideal or the fantasy of what we've always imagined that place in the world to be. With Toronto, it's the red maple trees, it's ice rinks, a curling arena, a statue of a hockey player.
Tons of hockey. Very multicultural. So Toronto was a blast to work on. But what's very exciting for our players to know is that there's going to be all new PvP maps, not just for Push, which will have multiple new maps with it. It won't just be Toronto. But every current core game mode in Overwatch is going to get Overwatch 2 maps.
Yeah, we'll get multiple maps for every game mode. And I think this is so exciting because the game, when Overwatch 2 launches, it's going to feel like such a new experience. I know we're going to talk a lot about the cooperative missions up here, but even on the PvP side of the game, having a bunch of new maps to play on is going to make this feel like a totally new experience for Overwatch 2 players.
Yeah, let's check it out. We've got some footage here. Now, I have to warn everybody, all of this is work in progress. We are hard at work on Overwatch 2 right now. So none of the maps that you're seeing are finished. Not even Toronto, not even Rio out on the show floor today. None of them are finished. They're all going to be that much cooler when we're done. We're also looking forward to getting a lot of play testing, a lot of feedback, but you can see some of the locations that we're really excited to explore. And many of these maps we've been playing for a while now and having a really good time.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about making maps for the Overwatch universe is that a lot of the people on our team come from locations all across the world. So we have people from Brazil working on a Rio de Janeiro map, people from Sweden working on Gothenburg, people from Toronto actually working on Toronto, and they're able to bring all of their love and passion and experience in these places to bear when they're actually building the map.
Yeah. So we know that you all love new maps. There are a lot of new maps coming with Overwatch 2, a lot of new locations, places that you want to see, like Gothenburg. There's a couple of heroes from Gothenburg we think would be really cool. But it's time to talk about story missions. So story has been requested from us a lot. Like, we get a lot of comments. And we think it's awesome. Like, you have all followed the story so far. You've been following it for some time, and you're ready for more. And we are ready to deliver. Now, I'm going to do a quick recap on like where the story's at right now. So obviously, this is since the original game. The original game started with Overwatch being shut down. Overwatch was this international peacekeeping force. The UN issued this thing called the Petrus Act, and that shut Overwatch down. Then, because of the absence of Overwatch and the heroism that they brought to the world, new threats were able to arise, and all sorts of bad stuff started to happen. There was the uprising in London. There was Talon. Like, Talon really became much more of a threat and gained in power in this sort of new vacuum that we had. But our good buddy Winston had the idea to initiate the recall. And what the recall is about is he knows it's illegal to reach out to all of the Overwatch agents, the former Overwatch agents, and basically say to them, hey, it's time to get back together. Like, now's the time. The world needs us now more than ever. So then we had a series of animated shorts, and it was really fun to explore these and kind of go on this journey to see how different heroes reacted to the recall. There was, for example, in Honor and Glory, you know, Reinhardt, in the most steadfast way, said, I must answer the call, while Brigitte was sort of begging him not to at a certain point. Whereas May, who was working at Eco Point Antarctica, you know, she wasn't necessarily a hero. She was more of just a scientist at the time. But Winston's recall really inspired her into heroism, which was great. And then there was that last BlizzCon we showed Reunion with McCree. And McCree's very strange reaction, like, okay, Winston called me back, but I'm going to bring Echo back instead.
Yeah. McCree kind of pieced out at that moment.
Yeah.
Who knows where the guy went, what he's doing around the world, but I have a feeling we'll be seeing more of him.
We might see more of McCree. I didn't see him in Zero Hour. The name of the movie we showed today, by the way, is Zero Hour, the Paris attacks. So I didn't see him there. So I'm wondering what's up with McCree. So Zero Hour, that brings us up to today. So Paris is under attack. It's Null Sector again, but it's not the Null Sector from back in King's Row. This is an all-out attack on the entire world. The good news is, joining Winston in Paris were some of the members of Overwatch. Some responded to the call. They're back. They're ready for action. But the world is attacked, and the world is under strife, and you, as a player, are going to get to take the place of our heroes and see what the next chapter holds for Overwatch. So we really hope you play that demo today. It will show you just kicking off where we're at. Now, the coolest part about getting to do story missions is something that we hear often from you is that you love our cinematics. Thank you. They're made by a group called Story and Franchise Development. We get to work with some of the most talented animators, producers, directors. We're really, really lucky to work with them. Every one of our story missions will get a cinematic introduction, and we'll get a cinematic outro. So you'll experience that. You'll see that in the Rio de Janeiro demo that we have. Now, I've got to give a warning to everybody. The outro is a placeholder for the actual movie. So I will just say this. I'm going to give a spoiler right
Oh, no.
So at the very end, what's May's famous line at the very end?
Lucio!
Lucio! Lucio doesn't actually die. So, okay. That's all you need to know. But we're excited for the cinematic storytelling that we get to do. You finally get to spend a lot of time with these heroes. So in a story mission, it's very curated by us. Like, we get to pick which heroes you're going to play in a story mission because we're trying to tell a particular story. So in Rio, for example, we've got May, we've got Reinhardt, Lucio, and Tracer. Those are the heroes that you can adventure with.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about story missions, and even with hero missions, all of the cooperative gameplay that we're trying to do is one of our goals is to bring a lot of the fast-paced action that you get in Overwatch PvP, where you're using all of your heroes' abilities, your comboing abilities with other heroes. You have a lot of strategic decisions that you make with your teammates. We're trying to bring that to the PvE side of the game, or the side where you play versus AI. And it's difficult to do because of the fast-paced nature of it. So that cinematic storytelling that Jeff was just talking about, that gives us the freedom to create more of those spaces. We can pull the story out to the cinematics and allow the gameplay to really flow as you're playing through any of the missions.
So one thing that we're experimenting with, because Overwatch 2 still has a ways to go. It's a game that's actively in development. We're working extremely hard on it right now. One of the experiments that we're doing right now is we're trying to give you some choice in what hero you can play. in these story missions. And I don't mean like choice between the 4 heroes. What I mean is, for example, in Rio, both Mercy and Genji are present on the mission as well. Wouldn't it be cool in this mission if you had a choice not only between, you know, Reinhardt, Tracer, Lucio, Mei, but also like maybe if I wanted to play Mercy instead or Genji. So we're trying that out right now. Like obviously it doesn't work for all heroes because like Roadhog wouldn't make a lot of sense helping the team out in Rio. But we'll see how that goes. We'll keep you guys updated. I think it could be pretty cool. Now, another new development that you'll experience when you play the demo today is that we've added an item system to the story missions. Now, this is not an item system. It's not like Diablo where like loot's going to be popping out of robots and we're all looking at the ground, picking up gold and that kind of thing. And it's not like WoW where we're waiting for the boss at the end of the mission and we're going to kill it and then Aaron's going to roll on my drop. But it's... The item system, I would say, is more equivalent to what you see in like a battle royale game. If you guys have played like Apex Legends or PUBG, it's a temporary item pickup that you have for the length of that mission, and you'll find these at different moments throughout the mission. And they have different abilities. So we're looking at here as a healing station that's actually of epic quality. So there's different quality levels to them too. But like Aaron might prefer the corrosive grenade.
Yeah, if, let's say you're playing Lucio, you might not want to pick up the healing station. You're already healing everybody in your party. So something like the corrosive grenade, which helps you deal extra damage to enemies, is a really good choice.
Another item that we added was this thing called the barrier fence. This is like a cylindrical barrier, kind of similar to how Winston's work. You drop it down, it sits in place. This one's been super awesome. Like if your group's having a lot of trouble and people need to be revived, you can drop the barrier fence down and it gives you an opportunity to revive them. So we hope that the item system adds some variety to the story missions and also lets you accommodate for the type of player you are and gives you some options when you're playing the missions.
Yep.
There's also, in the Rio demo, there's a very rare item kind of, I want to say hidden, but it's not really hidden.
You're giving it all away.
I'm giving it all away, but see if you can get it. Okay, cool.
Okay, so hero missions. While story missions are really designed to take players through a story experience, hero missions are designed to be deeply replayable. I think one of the great things about Blizzard games are that we make lifestyle games. And what I mean by that is we make games that you can play as your main game or you can play as your only game. I think that hero missions fit into the role where you can play them night after night, week after week, and year after year. This is really the long tail.
Decade after decade.
Was I getting a little too dramatic with that? Okay, I do that sometimes. You know, so like one of the analogies that we use internally for hero missions is they're our equivalent to adventure mode in Diablo or world quests in World of Warcraft. So it's something that we really want you to be able to sink a lot of time into. And we'll get into progression a little bit later, but it really dovetails with the hero progression in Overwatch 2. Those two systems rely on each other, and they kind of play with each other back and forth. Now, I think that for hero missions, there's a lot of different things that make them replayable and give them the variety that you need to be able to play them for a long period of time. And one of those is varied locations. And what I mean by this is that hero missions will take place all across the globe in new levels that are coming to Overwatch 2. And in all of the levels that we've already built for Overwatch 1, you'll be able to play hero missions in all of those.
So another cool variable that you'll have with hero missions that will keep it fresh and new is that the objectives will keep changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you could do all sorts of different objectives in hero missions. We want them to feel kind of fresh and new each time you go into one of them. So one hero mission might be surviving a holdout in Winston's lab in Gibraltar, or another one might be taking out like a null sector behemoth in Route 66. And so we'll have you going through a lot of different locations, doing a lot of different objectives. And the third piece to them is the hero roster that you'll be able to pick from. So in story missions, we're trying to tell a very specific narrative, and we need there to be certain heroes there. And like Jeff said earlier, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for Widowmaker and Tracer to go out on a story mission together. But in hero mode, we want you to be able to pick from all of the different heroes that are available.
Yeah, we feel like hero choice is extremely important. One of the things that, in general, both story missions and hero missions we're really excited for is the promise of Overwatch is that there's these 31 amazing heroes for us to play with. But the reality for a lot of us is I might be good with about 4 of them. And if I care about my SR at all, I maybe only play like 4 or 5 heroes, even though I really would love to explore this hero roster. The good news is we feel like in the PvE side of the game, you will really get a lot of exploration through the heroes. And I think hero missions in particular will feel great to play and level up different heroes.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of reasons to pick from different heroes here. As Jeff mentioned, and if you're playing competitive, you might want to stick to just a few. But as you're going on different hero missions, you might want to pick a particular hero because you think it's really good for a certain objective type. Bastion and Reinhardt work really, really well in holdouts, you know? You might also be picking a hero because as we get into the progression system, you'll see you might want to start leveling up a hero because you're really excited about a particular build that you might be able to get for that hero.
I can't wait to talk about the progression system. But before we do, there's one more part of what's going to keep the hero missions fresh and keep them interesting, and that's different enemy groups.
Yeah, so well, you'll be able to play against a lot of different enemy groups in hero missions for Overwatch 2. You saw Null Sector in 0 Hour, the cinematic that we showed during opening ceremonies. There's also Talon. Talon has obviously been a force for evil in the Overwatch universe, and I hope that we can see more of them in Overwatch 2 and kind of see what they're up to. And then beyond those two, you know, there's other things. There's other threats that are out there in the Overwatch universe, and I'm hoping that we can see
I think
other
everyone
enemy
could
groups,
imagine some amazing enemy groups that they'd love to fight against in Overwatch 2. And we're going to make them. All right, so the progression system. This is really exciting. Now, I have to caveat this a bit. As I mentioned, Overwatch 2 is still in development. We have a long ways to go before this game is fully ready. So we're only showing you kind of a part of the progression system right now. And it's also likely that progression could change a lot from now and the time that the game is released. You need a lot of iteration, a lot of play testing on this type of system. But we wanted to share parts of it with you. So by no means is this comprehensive. This isn't the only ideas that we have. This is sort of the tip of the iceberg. And it will give you a sense of the direction that we're exploring right now. So an interesting thing to talk about is the talent system. So we had originally designed the talent system for hero missions, not story missions. But as we were approaching BlizzCon this year, we knew that we were going to show a story mission, and we didn't have any progression stuff to show. And we thought it was super fun. So we actually hooked up the talent system from hero missions into the story experience. And there was like a funny side effect of that, where many members of the Overwatch team were like, actually, this is really awesome and super fun, and I hope we figure out a way to keep talents in the story missions eventually when they happen. So I don't know if that's going to be the case by the time the game launches, but for now you can see Tracer has a level. She can level up, and at different levels she gets different selection of talents. And these talents do different things. They definitely have player power involved. That's the goal. We want you to feel more powerful. Now, I know a lot of people raised an eyebrow when I said that. Any sort of talents or progression or anything like that is not going to come into the competitive part of the game. We're not going to make it so my Tracer is more powerful than your Tracer. Well, mine is, but anybody else's Tracer is more powerful. We want to keep it a fair playing field. But like we always say, when it comes to PvE, the robots don't post on the forums.
Exactly. Yeah. We can make it unfair. You know,
it could be OP, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of values that we're trying to adhere to as we design the progression system. As Jeff said earlier, like one of those is to make your heroes feel more powerful. You'll become more powerful. You'll be doing more damage as you progress through this system. But that's not all. We want you to feel more versatile. We want you to be able to put together a build for your hero that fits your particular play style. And we also just want your hero to be able to feel different from other people's heroes as well.
So I think adaptive reload is a great example of a talent. I'm not sure if you all can read adaptive reload, but the gist of it is whenever Tracer does an ability like blink or recall, her pistols reload automatically. And like this is a talent that speaks to you and your play style.
Yeah, so I pick adaptive reload a lot because every time you use any ability, she gets a full clip again. And so if you use this correctly and you kind of play Tracer with the right cadence, you never run out of ammo. You always have it, and it just feels so powerful.
Now, other players don't have an issue with Tracer's reload cadence. It feels natural to them. They're used to it.
Is there like a problem with the way that I
No,
play? Okay.
no, it's okay. The world needs you too, Aaron. But
God.
you know, some other players might want to take an ability like chain reaction, which is a little bit more powerful, but centered more around her ultimate. And this one, I think the video just shows it best, and it sort of speaks for itself. So we can check it out here in action. So yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Imagine that in PvP. That would team kill. Yeah.
12,000 IQ.
Obviously, we think that would be awesome. Now, let's show you some other talents that are work in progress, but we think are cool.
Yeah, this one is super exciting. So this
Any
is
Hanzo mains out there? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so Jiro's guidance. This is any arrow that hits an enemy detected by sonic arrow will seek and pierce all other detected enemies. I know it's kind of a mouthful, but you can see it in the video here.
The talent speaks for itself. So, and this one is cool too because Sonic Arrow is useful in PvE, but nowhere to the degree that it is in the competitive side of the game. So this adds a lot of usefulness to it on the PvE side of the game.
Yeah, and hopefully you guys can start using your imagination for the different types of things that we'll be able to do with talents here and how you'll be able to use some of them to kind of combo into other abilities.
So,
oh gosh.
Oh yeah, here it comes. This one is called Epic Enter. Did I say it wrong?
No, that was perfect.
Okay. Oh, Epicenter. Okay. As many of you know, Reinhardt's Earthshatter ability is a cone-based ability. Mm-hmm. But imagine if it worked in 365 degrees.
Yep.
360 degrees. Because 365 degrees would be breaking mathematics.
Sure.
Yeah.
I actually think what this one does is it makes a bicycle magically appear.
Wow, and it did make a bicycle magically appear. So really fun for you, Reinhardt.
Where does it come from?
Where does it? I think it makes a robot transform into a bicycle. Yeah. Aaron and I have watched this like 500 times, and it doesn't get old.
Not at all.
So this one was in the gameplay movie. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, okay. So this is a cryo freeze ability, and when it ends, it'll instantly freeze all nearby enemies. And if any of you are Mei players, you'll kind of, yes. You'll know that like coming out of cryo freeze is kind of a scary moment where all the enemies are just kind of waiting there to blast you. And so this talent kind of takes care of that.
Don't follow me.
Yeah, so it gives her a lot of utility, and it adds to that the defensive nature of the ability. Obviously, in the competitive side of the game, this would be my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Speaking, okay.
Yes.
This is the best.
I love this one. I hope you guys really like this one. Snowball effect. Internally, we just call this bowling for robots.
Yeah. you can't let the hamster have all the fun.
No.
Yeah. Let's see it one more time. Okay, awesome. So This is another ability that you saw in the gameplay trailer earlier today. The reason I like this one, I don't know if anybody plays Genji like I do, but when I play Genji and I press my ultimate ability button, usually there's no one anywhere near me. And I'm standing there and my dash is on cooldown and I just kind of feel stupid. And then like I go back and I watch those YouTubes and I'm like, how do they do it?
Yeah, need healing.
Yeah, exactly. But this ability is made for someone like me.
The dragon becomes me.
So he actually gets to shoot out a projectile from his sword. So it gives a lot of extra ability. You know, you could really tune Genji to your play style and really adjust it. So one of the cool things is, like, imagine if we started to combine talents. Like, it's not like the heroes are just going to have one talent. They're going to have a bunch of talents they can pick from and create builds.
Yeah, and so this is an example of two talents at the same time. The first one is Torbjorn turning his turret into a flamethrower rather than a minigun. And then the second turret allows him to place 3 mini turrets instead of 1 large turret.
So this is the kind of combination we're really hoping to see out of the PvE side of the game.
This poor last robot.
Yeah,
I
he
feel
took it
so
all.
bad for him.
Just like a fire hose to the face. Okay, one more time.
Aren't fire hoses water?
Oh, it's a terrible analogy. I already said there's 365 degrees. I used the water hose analogy for the flamethrower. Okay, awesome. Now, another huge part of Overwatch 2 is all of the upgrades coming to the engine. I've seen some confusion. I see people keep calling it a new engine. It is a greatly upgraded version of the engine, but it is not a new engine. I think that's important to point out. There's a panel tomorrow where John LaFleur, who's our tech director, Arnold Sang, who's our assistant art director, and Bill Petrus, who is our art director, they're going to tell you all in depth about the upgraded hero visuals and the massive upgrades coming to the Overwatch 2 engine. But for now, we wanted to share with you guys some of the idea of why do we want to do upgrades to the hero visuals. Obviously, there's some part of it where it's a brand new game. We want it to have a new look. We want it to feel fresh and awesome, and just really, really overwhelm you with how beautiful the game could be. But we also wanted to show some passage of time as well. Like, we were doing a lot of storytelling in this game, and we want to show the journey of the heroes. A good analogy that I like to use when talking about how and why we decided to upgrade the hero visuals is Batman. So, Batman has existed really over the decades. There's been, early comic book Batman from the original comic. There was the 60s live-action TV show, Batman. There was the 80s, yeah, Adam West, yeah, it's awesome. There's the 80s Tim Burton movie, Batman. There was the Christopher Nolan Batman. But all of those versions of Batman was instantly recognizable. Every time you saw him, you'd never mistook him for another superhero. They were all iconic, but they were all different from one another. And that's been sort of our guiding vision for updating the hero look. So, like, we can take a look at Genji right now. There's classic Genji and Overwatch 2 Genji. And Overwatch 2 Genji, obviously there's a lot of visual upgrades that happened to him. But from a story perspective, you see that he's kind of at a different point in his journey as well, as you saw in 0 Hour. So here's a sneak peek. I don't think anybody's seen Torbjorn or Bastion's new looks yet.
Miraculously.
The internet was lazy this week and left these for Friday. I don't know why. It's so boring. But these are kind of cool. Like, you want to talk about Torb and Bastion a little bit?
Yeah, so I love it. So this kind of, this look that they have, it kind of pairs Torbjorn and Bastion up with each other. So Bastion is now, in the story, living with Torbjorn. So some of the upgrades that he's getting are from Torbjorn himself. And if you look, he's actually wearing one of Torbjorn's favorite hats. You know, he's needs to keep the sun out of his eyes
Yeah.
or the rain off his head or something like that.
Totally need that as a robot. Cool. So this is actually rendered in the Overwatch 2 engine. These are the actual character models. And, you know, obviously they all have the new looks here, but other things that's going on here is we have a completely new way of doing eyes in the game. We have a new way of rendering hair, skin. All of these things are focuses of our art team and our graphics engine team right now to just make the characters look amazing and beautiful. And when you play Overwatch 2, you'll see we spend a lot of time bringing the characters even closer to the camera because we're really proud at how they're looking right now.
Yeah, so much of Overwatch is just about the heroes. Like, we love the heroes in the world of Overwatch. I hope that all of you guys love the heroes in the world of Overwatch. And yes,
Thank you.
We just want to be able to get up closer to them. We want you guys to be able to see them in more detail. And so we're putting all this time and energy into it. And with this new game, with Overwatch 2, we have a big story that we want to tell too. So the engine needs all these upgrades. The map that you guys can play on the show floor, Rio de Janeiro, it's twice the size of any map that we've ever made for the game. And the guts of the engine have just had to get upgraded in order for us to be able to deliver all of this story to you guys.
So the hero visuals and the map stuff, like Aaron's talking about, is not the only new changes to the game. We've also completely upgraded the HUD. So you're seeing that here. We're trying, the goal with the HUD is to get it out of your way. So you're not thinking about it. It's more something that you feel, and intuitively it gives you the information you need. Now, I know you are all going to be very opinionated about the HUD. The good news is we are still early in development, and every single hero in both the Rio demo and the Toronto demo has a new HUD. So you can give us feedback on all of them, and we have time to make tweaks and adjustments. This was done by an artist named Jason Kirby, who works on our team, who did the new HUD. One of the things I love the most is the new Mercy UI.
Yeah, I love it. You can see the Farah portrait down there. You see who she's healing with the health around it. You can also see there's new hit markers around the reticle. We have new edge of screen effects. We take this part of the game really, really serious. Overwatch PvP is all about split-second decisions, really fast reads, and the HUD gives you a lot of information. So like Jeff said, we are looking at this really carefully. If you guys have feedback on it, we'd love to hear it. We have time to make it better, and we're going to do everything we can to do that.
Yeah, and it's not just the HUD. Every screen of interface is updated in Overwatch 2. So your menus, how you browse the hero gallery, it's a completely brand new game with a completely new interface. And that's, I think, very important. I think a lot of us, have decided, there's certain things like player icons could use some help when finding the one you want. We're upgrading all of those elements. There's even things, some of you will notice this when you play Toronto, there's even a new announcer. And I'd be curious if you recognize who the voice is of that new announcer.
So mysterious.
Yeah, that's a big, big hint right there. So cool. Aaron, when we say Overwatch is all about one thing, what is always the answer?
Heroes.
Heroes. So Overwatch 2 will obviously come with brand new heroes. Now, what's important to us with the Overwatch 2 heroes is not only do they fit gameplay roles that are very important to the game right now, things that we feel that the game needs, but also that the hero's story is centered in the story of Overwatch 2. So Sojourn is coming to Overwatch 2. She's our first Canadian hero. Yeah, I should say second Canadian hero.
That's true.
Because the first is Arnold Sang, our assistant art director. And we love him dearly. But Sojourn will be the second one coming. Sojourn is right at the center of the story of Overwatch 2. So we hope you liked her in Storm Rising. You're going to get to spend a lot more time with her when it comes to Overwatch 2. And she is by far not the only character coming to Overwatch 2. There are a few heroes that will all come at once. I don't know how many of you remember, but there was, way back in the beta, we added
Oh boy.
Diva, Mei, and Genji all at the same time. and it was probably the most beautiful chaos I've ever seen in a video game. Well, maybe the Encourage gate opening. That was some good video game chaos. But Overwatch 2 is going to really add some mix-ups to the meta, introduce, we think, characters that you're going to love, characters that you've been waiting for. So something we're very, very excited for, new heroes coming to Overwatch 2. Now, I want to touch on this again. I mentioned opening ceremonies, and between opening ceremonies and the panel, I've been spending time reading people's reaction, and there seems like there's so much confusion about what does redefining a sequel mean. So I'm going to try to put it in a different way this time. Imagine we're coming up with a brand new game that we're dying to make, and it's called Overwatch 2, and we start to think of the feature list that we want. We want brand new heroes. We want all new PvP maps, like a whole roster, equivalent to what we did in the first game of PvP maps. We want to have story missions, hero missions. We're going to add progression. We're adding talents. We're upgrading the engine. We're adding new looks to all the characters. We're like, that sounds like an amazing sequel to us. Does it sound like one to you? Okay. Now, you all know what the video game industry does. And you are the most powerful people in the video game industry. It is not us. It is you. You have more of a say than anybody else. And how many times imagine your favorite game. It could, let's say it's a game that has, I don't know, Space Marine in it, that has PvP and PvE and has a story, and you want to play Space Marine number 3 because you've been playing Space Marine number 2, and the day that comes out, you lose all your stuff, and then your buddy, because his grandma didn't buy it for him for Christmas, is playing Space Marine 2, and you're playing Space Marine 3.
And you don't get to play together.
You don't get to play together. And all the stuff that I earned in Space Marine 2 doesn't come with me. We think that sucks. We don't think that should be rewarded by you, the most important people in the game industry. So we wanted to make it so that every one of the new PvP maps that's coming to Overwatch 2, every one of the new heroes that's coming to Overwatch 2, and new heroes beyond that will go to the players, our dedicated fans who have been with us for all these years from the original game. We think that's important. We also feel like it's important for all that hard work that you've done. The Baptiste vampire skin you all just earned last week. Do you want it to go away? No. We want it to come with us. So that's what we mean by redefining a sequel. I know there's a lot of confusion. I actually think it's really simple. The game is a big game. It is a true sequel in all of its features and everything it does. We just don't want to be jerks about all of our loyal players who might be wondering if they should get the game or not. That's the idea.
That's great.
So I know there's some unanswered questions. So I want to touch on this real quick. We never said, where are you going to play this game? No one ever asked. It's coming to, obviously, Battle.net on the PC platform, the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. So every single platform we support today will be supported for Overwatch 2. I totally didn't hear what you said at all. Also, I know the other big question is like, well, when do we get it? What's the date on this thing? I don't know. I have no idea. Like, just let us make it great. Like, that's what we care about more than anything. We don't have a date in mind. We are going to work so hard. Like, today is the most important day in Overwatch 2's development because I feel like to this point, it's been just our small team. And today's the day that we bring you, the big team, into it. And what do you want out of the game? You're going to all go, you're going to play the demo, you're going to post feedback, you're going to talk to us here today. We want to hear from you what needs to change, what features are we missing, what's going to be cool, what isn't cool. So I don't have a date.
No, and I mean, we love this game so much, and we just want you guys to love it too, the same way that we do.
So we're probably going to go dark after BlizzCon. I know there's going to be a million questions, and people are going to want to hear, okay, like reveal another hero, or show me, like, have you ever wondered what Moira's new look might be? Yeah, it's amazing,
It's so
by the way.
good.
But, God, we're just jerks.
We are.
We're jerks right now.
It feels so good.
There's still some cool stuff coming. There's still some cool stuff. But we're going to be quiet. We are going to be quiet. We have a lot of work to do. The team is focused on Overwatch 2. That doesn't mean we are leaving the live service behind. There are still some cool updates coming. We want to add new stuff. Now, I want to get this out there right away. We are not adding a new Archives event to Archives this year, because we are focused on Overwatch 2. We feel like that's the better storytelling experience. We are still going to run the Archives event. There will be new skins. There's going to be new cosmetic content. There are also other awesome features coming to the live game that we think you should be excited about. Coming very soon, you are going to get to select what you do when you are waiting for roll queue to kick in. So if you'd like to go to the training room, we're going to let you do that. If you would like to play a new deathmatch mode that we're adding just for waiting, you can play that. If you would like to go to custom game and/or workshop and play whatever the hell you want, you can do that very soon. So there are lots of cool updates coming to the original game, but please bear with us while we focus on Overwatch 2. We want to make it amazing for all of you.
Yep.
Thank you all so much. We know how many cool things there are at BlizzCon for you to check out. The fact that so many people came here today to spend time with me and Aaron, it means the world to us.
Ron.
Ron. And please go play the demo. Go have fun and see our art panel tomorrow.
Thank you, BlizzCon.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending Overwatch What's Next. Coming up, World of Warcraft, What's Next?